Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to my temporary office. Today, I'm going to do an educational video where I'm going to talk about how to avoid gambling while trading. There's a very clear line we need to discuss. Everyone should understand there's a way that you can make trading more calculated, more risk averse, because a lot of people that don't know how to trade, all they're doing is gambling, and what happens when you're gambling is your risk is not calculated, you don't have a strategy, and you're going to lose money. Quick shout out to Bitget, the sponsors for this video series called Get Educated. I'm looking forward to making a ton more education for you guys on YouTube, so make sure you smash the like button on this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I've got plenty more content coming. And if you want to check out Bitget, there is a link below. If you sign up with my link, you will get a 15% discount on your trading fees. So there's a no-brainer to sign up for the link. I really appreciate it if you do. And there's also a guide that I made on how to use Bitget Exchange. So I will link that above here. But I've been enjoying the exchange, and I hope you guys enjoy it too. Let's start with point number one, and the most important thing, in my opinion, to trading, and that's mindset. If you go into trading thinking it's going to be easy, thinking that you're just going to magically make a lot of money, that there won't be hard times, that everything will just go your way, you're wrong. Trading is a constant game, and it's a game of longevity. So you could do great at this for a year. You could do great at it for 2 years. You could quadruple your account over a year's time, and in one day, you give back all of the gains you had from the last year. Keeping a level head at all times is going to be the one thing to save you. And knowing when you're becoming irrational or maybe not in the proper mindset to be trading can be a huge tool as well to be able to step away, not make bad decisions, not make emotional decisions. So you really, really, really need to understand that it's not easy. Everyone struggles at times. You're not alone. If you're having a hard time, step away, all right? Because the market conditions can and will change as well. So what worked really well for you for a long time, or even for a period of time, may not work well now or may not work well tomorrow. And a lot of people have a hard time adapting to that because they're like, well, this should be working. This was working so well. And then that's their downfall. So mindset, top priority. Get yourself in the right place before you even sit down at your computer in the morning. Second point is understanding invalidations. All right, if you want to be a trader, you need to know where your trade is invalidated, right? Because it's not just enough to say, all right, I'm going to buy this asset here because it looks like a good buy, and you just keep holding and it's down 80%. That is not a very sustainable strategy. Where's my invalidation to turn this from a gamble into a trade, right? Because a trade has a well-defined risk involved. So if I enter here and I say my invalidation is below here, now I have a clear invalidation. I'm not blindly holding. All right, I'm holding at a loss. I'm holding at a loss. And now I'm cutting because it's below my invalidation, right? Whereas if you don't know what you're doing, you don't have a well-defined risk, right? You're just gambling. You're just throwing money somewhere and hoping it turns into more money. You're going to say, all right, I'm buying here, and it's going to drop, and you're going to say, okay, well, people on Twitter told me this is going to go up and this is a good investment, and you're going to start making up excuses for why it should go up, right? And you're going to be glued to the chart, and you're purely gambling. You have no plan here. You have no strategy. You don't understand where your invalidation level is even at, and you're just holding and hoping. And that is not a successful strategy, especially long term. Of course, I do have a video on how to play stop losses and understand invalidation, so you can watch that if you click the link above. So again, to turn this from a gamble into a trade, I need to have a clear invalidation level. That makes it a point where I'm going to cut this trade and take the loss. It will be a calculated loss because, again, remember, Non-calculated losses are gambling. If you're willing to lose a whole position, let it go down 90%, 100%, whatever, that is gambling. When you're gambling, when you're at a casino, you are risking all of your bet to hopefully make something, right? But it's an all or nothing. In trading, there is risk involved, and I can only lose 1% of a position or 1% of my portfolio on any given trade if I choose to let that happen. You need to not only have that invalidation point, you need to be able to cut your positions at that invalidation point, all right? Because it's not enough just to have it and still hold to minus 80%. Even though you know that you should have closed that trade a while ago, you need to have the conviction and you need to have the ability to let yourself take losses, because you will be wrong at times while trading. It's inevitable. So to build on my last point, you must develop a set of rules. All right. Now, everyone's rules will be different, and I would recommend writing them down. Find things that have done you wrong in trading and set rules against that, okay? So you want your rules to maybe be about how much you risk on any given position, maybe your entry criteria, like if, RSI crosses over this value and we have a price action breakout above trend line, then I can enter with a stop loss here, and this is a consistent strategy, all right? But those are rules that are telling you when and how to plan your entries. You're not just going, oh man, that's a big green candle, I think I need to buy, and then you end up holding and you watch it drop and you have no idea what to do and you're just stuck in this position, and then you're going over to Twitter and trying to figure out if anybody is bullish on it. It's not a sustainable strategy. You are not following any rules, and you will fail in the long term. So we're really trying to be realistic here, you guys, and really teach you how to keep a level head in this game. There's no limit to your rules. You could literally say, I will not trade Tuesdays from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. because every time I do that, I lose money. For whatever reason, the price action is weird at that time of day. Crazy shit happens, and I lose money every single time. I have won 1 out of my last 12 trades on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Not only that, but you can actually create a journal, and you can start finding some tendencies that go wrong, that don't treat you well, and you can start setting rules against them. And I can go over some of my rules a little bit later as well. But again, your rules will be individualized to your trading strategy, your personal habits, and your emotions and your personality. Make your own set of rules and don't just use somebody else's rule set, because it might not cater to your specific situation. Oh, hi kitty. Don't trade when your cat walks in the room. He's meowing at me. Oh God, he's up on the desk. For my next point, you gotta know when to quit, you degen. There comes a time where you might be up big, all right? Maybe you had like 7 trades in a row and you're just feeling hot. Give me more profits. I can't lose any trades. I'm gonna be so rich in 2 hours. That's when you need to quit, right? If you're screenshotting everything or bragging about it online and you're feeling euphoric a little bit, that's when you need to quit. Now, it doesn't mean you quit forever, but maybe it's time to catch a break. Or, I stopped trading weekends because the liquidity is low. So whatever it is, if it's not working, maybe you just need to quit with a certain strategy that hasn't been working lately because the market conditions have changed. Maybe when you use only 20x leverage, you do great and you have very profitable trades, but when you start using 50x leverage, you get liquidated or you get stopped out too often. So I've said this many times and I'll say it again. Sometimes after my biggest wins will come my biggest losses. Been doing this long enough now to where I understand this and I can realize it. And if I have a very big win or a very big week even, I might just completely take off the next week or the next day, or I'm going to use very small positions the next day, because it's just so easy to get big-headed or cocky, arrogant, whatever, and just start bleeding funds back to the market. Or you're like, oh, I'm up so big the last 2 days, like I can get back some profit. It's fine. I can risk a little bit more here. And then what happens is you don't stop there, you don't quit, and then before you know it, you've given up half that profit back to the market and you're way above your risk tolerance for that day. Understanding when you need to step away is one of the most valuable tools you have. Very few of us will do it that way, and it took me a while to get there. But I'll notice that maybe I enter a trade and I get stopped out, and I enter another trade and I get stopped out, and I'm like, man, that usually works. So then maybe I enter another trade, and I'm like, damn, I got stopped out again. And I'm like, so what do? Do I keep fighting it, or I go, okay, well, this trade usually works, or this setup usually works. It's not working today. Maybe conditions have changed. Maybe there's not enough liquidity in the books and I'm getting stop hunted. And I can go, all right, well, I can keep trying this and maybe lose more money, or I can just say, you know what? It's not working today. I'm done. And then I can come back tomorrow and I can try the same thing and be like, oh, hit that one. Great. Oh, hit that one. Great. Another profit there. Oh, it's working again today. Weird. Okay. But if I didn't stop the day before, maybe it just wasn't my day. So the last point in this video, before I talk a little bit about my rules, is to understand your weaknesses and take action to avoid your problems or your issues or whatever it is that makes you suck at trading. Right? Because we've all been there, and it's a learning process. And honestly, your rules are gonna keep adapting to your lifestyle, all right? And any changes that happen in your life, maybe your personality changes, all right? Maybe the market changes. Maybe you get a new job, all right? So don't be set on the same rules forever. They're fluid. They can change. You can always be adding rules. Find out what you're really bad at. What causes you to lose most of your trades? Is it because you're trading high leverage from mobile? Is it because you don't understand your entries? So regardless of skill level, everyone needs rules. We all need to create our own rule sets. That is probably one of the most important things you can do. Whereas I guess everything in this video is of utmost importance, but rules will help you get by. And if you really start to be disciplined and really start to follow your rules, I promise you, and I don't do that often, if you set some rules and start to follow them, I promise you that you will start to do better. All right. You might not be amazing, but you will be better than you are previously. All right. Not only, and we've all been there before, but not only do rules help you out just from making some mistakes, but when you break your rules, that brings on a whole nother set of emotions, and then that can make you break more rules. Like, oh, I never trade when I'm out drinking for a night. Well, guess what? Last night you got drunk, you entered some trades, you blew one of your leverage accounts by 50%, and you wake up the next morning, you're like, why did I do that? I'm an idiot. Now I don't even trade on weekends usually, but now I'm down 50%. I'm going to make it back today. So then what do? You break more rules because you don't usually trade on weekends. Well, you don't trade when you're drunk. You broke that rule. Now it's a Sunday and you're trading on a weekend to try to make back the money you lost while breaking a rule, and yada, 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 right? And it's just a slippery slope. But if you stick to your rules and you lose a trade, there's no emotional involvement to it. And if there is, you're doing it wrong. So the most important thing you can do for your psyche and your trading is to make rules, follow them, and you will start to feel positive reinforcement for following those rules. And honestly, this is real, you guys, but you have to be diligent. If you're diligent for even 2 weeks with your rules, which is probably longer than you have been before, if you're diligent for those 2 weeks, you're going to really feel like, oh man, I'm actually starting to do okay. I'm not feeling overwhelmed, or I'm not feeling vengeful to try to make my profits back. I'm feeling level-headed. I'm feeling calm. I'm feeling happy a little bit. Even when I lose, it's calculated. Even when I lose, I'm not doing something I shouldn't have done. It just didn't work out. And so now your emotions are more in control, which goes back to you can have a better mindset now. You're in a better place, which makes it all that much easier to navigate the markets. And if you're not disciplined, you're not going to do well. No amount of coaching can help if you don't take responsibility. All right. So anytime you have something go wrong, don't blame anybody else. Don't blame any outside factors. Put the blame on you. Don't say, oh, well, if my mom wouldn't have called me right after I entered that trade, I wouldn't have gotten distracted and lost money. No, that's not the right way to go about it. Be like, oh, I entered that trade. My mom called me. I should have told her I'd call her back in 5 minutes, or I should have just closed that trade immediately and then talked to my mom. All right. And then I wouldn't have lost all that money. because I wasn't paying attention to it, because I was on the phone with my mom, whatever, right? So take the blame, take the personal responsibility, because your mom didn't make you lose money. It's your fault. There was ways to around that, right? There was ways to fix the situation, right? People like to blame exchanges, or they like to blame people on Twitter, or they like to just make up weird random excuses to make themselves feel better. And that is going to be one way that you're never going to stick to your rules, because you're pushing the blame off elsewhere, and it's never your fault. So I know you guys are all interested to hear some of my rules. I'll go through a few here. I won't trade if I got a really bad night's sleep the night before, because lack of sleep is one of the biggest ways I've lost money. And if I just feel like I'm tired, I'm just not going to trade. I'm not even going to take an energy drink, whatever. I just take the day off, right? It's that simple. I just know too many times I will lose money. I'm not full focused. It's easy to let your emotions get a little bit more of you when you're stressed or tired. So I can't do it. No more. And it's not negotiable. Another one that I'm sure a lot of you can relate with is I don't ever look at Twitter before I log on for the day to chart. One thing that's really terrible is if there's a trader that you trust, right, or multiple traders you trust that are all have the same idea, or they're bullish or bearish on an asset. What happens when you go log in? You immediately have a bias set on that asset before you even looked at it. So I can't tell you how many times where somebody posts a chart and they are bullish on it or whatever, and then I pull up the chart and I'm automatically bullish. Even though it looks bearish to me, maybe from my standpoint, I have some bullish bias because one of my, trusted sources was bullish on it. No more charting. I don't look at other people's charts before I get on for the day. If I see if I chart something and then I see that one of my trusted sources has something against it or something for it, then I'll kind of use that to be like, all right, maybe I need to question my idea, or maybe I need to look at it again because they say this is going to happen. So maybe I misread it, or maybe I just need to be on high alert or reduce my risk on this, something like that. Another rule is, I don't trade in evenings after I pick my son up from daycare, and I don't trade on weekends. Weekends just have low liquidity. And then evenings, I'm not fully there because my wife likes me to take the evenings off anyway. So if I am trying to kind of chart, it's like I'd be like kind of, like in between things while I'm busy doing other stuff. I might glance at a chart. That's not optimal trade conditions. Weekends just have terrible liquidity usually. Price action's a little sporadic, not as good for trading. A lot of stop hunts on low time frames, which is where I like to trade anyway. Now, some people have asked me, well, how do you, I don't want to trade on weekends, but I still do. Okay, well, don't. Well, yeah, but I just, I get bored and then I pull up my phone, delete the app from your phone. Well, yeah, I do that, but then I go on my web browser and then I still log in. If you really don't have that much self-control, take your funds off your trading account, put them in a cold wallet, put them on a non-trading account, put them somewhere to where you can't trade them or you won't trade them. Your lack of willpower is fixed because you can't trade. Leave $5 on the account if you want to, just to screw around with, right? Like, this goes back to our other point of understanding your weaknesses. All right, well, you don't want to trade on weekends, but you still do. All right, well, find a way to make sure that you can't do it. All right, it's like people buying those cookie jars that have timers on them, and they literally will get one cookie out, and then they have to wait like 5 hours for the little timer to go off and unlock the lid so they can get another cookie. It's one thing to identify your problems, then take steps to conquer them, all right? And at the beginning, you might need to go to drastic extremes, like withdraw your funds on Friday, put them back on Monday, right? Now that you've sent your funds off exchanges for 3 weeks in a row, you're kind of losing your urge to trade on weekends because you haven't been able to trade on weekends anyway, and you realize you're really not missing out on much. All right, so then maybe one weekend you leave it on there, and the app is readily accessible, so you log in the app. Well, maybe this time you delete the app off your phone and you're like, okay, well, I have the funds on there, but I didn't trade this time. And you're like getting better. It's like a rehab almost. So there's a million different types of scenarios you could play with this, different issues that we all have. So whatever it is you need to do to avoid your weaknesses, do them. Another rule that I have is, I have my custom indicator, Top Goon X, and it's got a momentum line. And when the momentum line is up high, I cannot hold longs for very long. And when the momentum line is down low, I cannot hold shorts for very long. Top X is a trend reversal indicator. So when it's up at the top, that means that a trend reversal is coming at some point. And when it's at the bottom, it means a trend reversal is coming at some point. So if I do long when it's up high, I know that I'm close to the end of trend and I have to get out quickly because sellers could step in at any moment. When it's down low, I know I have to get out of shorts quickly because buyers could step in at any moment. Now, of course, ideally, I would like to find a short when it's up high and a long when it's down low, but because of some of my rules, maybe I'll find a setup on whatever time frame when it's like that. And so I just know that if I take my setup, I need to get out of it quickly because I may be close to the end of that trend. I've gotten a lot better at that because obviously I'm getting better at trusting my own indicator because I made it right, yada yada. But there would be times where I'd be like, well, the chart looks really good. I want to keep holding this, and then I won't, and I'll go against it, or I'll be in a short and Top X will give a buy approaching alert and I'll be like, oh, I think the chart looks okay. I'm going to ignore Top X, and then it bounces and the buy approaching works out. And I'm going to be like, why would I, I'm an idiot. Why would I go against my own indicator, right? So at that point, I'm like, when that happens now, I'm like, all right, I'm in profit. I'm going to close half. I'm going to put my stop loss at break even. If it keeps going, great. If it goes against me, then at least I took those measures and, I'm following some of my rules that I've put in place now to help me avoid losses. And then, of course, you guys, the most basic of rules that I post on Twitter all the time is just literally short resistance, buy support. It couldn't be any more simple than that. Of course, you have to be able to identify the support and resistances, but after you've done this long enough, you'll really start to notice that it really can be that simple sometimes. We're like, oh man, this is a support. I should try to buy here. Oh, this is a resistance. Maybe I should try to short here. And then, of course, you'll eventually develop more strategies, better strategies. You'll build up to more confirmations of these strategies of finding a short at resistance or finding a long at support. But one thing at a time, slowly build up, because once you have a solid strategy, what's the point? We always want to make it stronger. We want to make it better, right? So you'll eventually grow and you'll create more rules and more confirmations, and that's how we improve. Thanks again for joining me, you guys. I really hope you liked this video. Send me a comment to tell me your thoughts, and make sure you give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace. I can't right now. You got to quit. If your cat is standing on your scalp hand and you can't just trade, then you got to, I don't know. Ow, he's biting me.